Gunnison County has so many neighborhoods that it can be a real challenge to figure out exactly where you want to be and what is a great fit for you. So where can you find accessibility to downtown amenities, quick access to mountain biking and hiking trails, and charm galore? Well, if you guessed Crested Butte, Colorado, you guessed correctly. Today, we're going to be doing a deep dive into this amazing community, and stick around to the very end. I'm gonna share some price points and some of my favorite subdivisions, hiking and biking trails that are my favorite as well, and some local recommendations for restaurants. Woodward, your local Crested Butte and Gunnison, Colorado real estate expert. And just know I get calls, texts, and emails from people just like you every single day. Whether you are making a move here in 6 days from now, 6 months from now, moving across the world, across the country, or just up and down the valley, I'm here to make your move exactly the way you want it to be. All of my contact information is down below for you in the description, so call, text, or email. So if you've been looking for everything Gunnison County, including Crested Butte, all the ins and the outs and everything in between, you've come to the right channel. Be sure and hit that subscribe button down below so that you can stay in the know of everything happening from Gunnison to Crested Butte to Mount Crested Butte and everything in between. So where is Crested Butte, Colorado? It is located in the heart of Gunnison Valley. It's about 3 miles from Mount Crested Butte, which is where Crested Butte Mountain Resort is located, and about 30 miles from downtown Gunnison, Colorado. There are many conveniences to Crested Butte, Colorado. Not only does it offer a variety of styles of homes, from historic charm to modern mountain homes, it also offers accessibility to hiking and biking and skiing trails, and then quick access to all of the shops and the restaurants off of Elk Avenue. So let's go ahead and do a map tour of Crested Butte so that you can get your bearings and know exactly where you want to be. Okay, so first of all, where is Crested Butte in relation to the state of Colorado, and specifically Denver or Colorado Springs, which if you're not flying into our local airport, which is the Gunnison Crested Butte Regional Airport, you will find yourself flying into most likely Denver or Colorado Springs. So Colorado as a whole is a pretty square state in size. To the north of us, we have Wyoming. To the east is Kansas. To the south is New Mexico. And then to the west is Utah. So Crested Butte is going to be this little blue dot here in the center of the Rocky Mountains on the western slope. From Denver to Crested Butte, from DIA Airport specifically, you are about 5 hours. It's a little bit, it's about 4 hours and 45 minutes, just depending on the route that you can go. So you can either go 285 south, and you'll hit 50 and then head on over to Crested Butte via Gunnison on 135 from that direction, or you'll go I-70 west out of Denver, and you'll come down Leadville, hit again 50 right there at Salida, and then on up to Crested Butte. The only caveat to going this northern route off of I-70 is that you do have these major ski resorts: Breckenridge, Keystone, Vail, A-Basin, Aspen is over here as well. And then, you know, it can be a little bit busier on that particular route, especially on big ski weekends or big powder weekends. So that's just something that a lot of us, you know, living here trying to avoid. Most of us will go this 285 route that you have here out of Denver, and then, you know, come along this direction and hit Salida. Another option would be flying into Colorado Springs. So Colorado Springs here, it's pretty, it hits, the southern part of the state, and then you'll come over here on 24, hit 285, a small section, and then hit 50, and then on up to Crested Butte via 135 here from Gunnison. So that is another option as well. Sometimes clients do fly into Grand Junction, which Grand Junction is going to be to the west here, and that's a nice option as well. You're looking at about a 3-hour drive from Grand Junction to Crested Butte. So you got to go down, hit 50, and then come back up. Another option as well that would shave off about an hour. So Grand Junction to Crested Butte is about 3 hours, but so Montrose is another option that's about 2 hours from Montrose to Crested Butte that direction. So those are some nice options for you if you're not flying into our regional airport. And if you are flying into our regional airport, our airport is just outside of the downtown area of Gunnison. So you'll fly here, and it's about 40 minutes from the airport to Crested Butte via 135 to get to downtown Crested Butte. All right, for today we are going to talk about downtown Crested Butte. And then we're also going to talk about all the little areas in between downtown Crested Butte. So that would be Crested Butte South to downtown Crested Butte, and then also downtown Crested Butte to where you almost make it to Mount Crested Butte. Those areas is called, it's the rural area of Crested Butte. So a lot of times people will ask me, hey, I want to move to Crested Butte. And it's like, okay, well, where exactly do you want to be? And there's a lot of properties to look at and a lot of subdivisions between this particular area and then a few more in this area as well. So there's some great options. If you're not necessarily wanting to be in downtown, which is this area, then we want to explore some of the other places on the outskirts. But we'll get to that more here shortly. All right, so as you've arrived at Crested Butte, the most notable thing that you're going to notice as you are on 135 and you're starting to make the descent downhill just a little bit into Crested Butte is that you have the Crested Butte Community School. So this school is undergoing its second renovation since it was built. It keeps growing in popularity. It's a really high ranked school in the state of Colorado. You can go to greatschools.org or reportcard.com and see how schools are ranked. And Crested Butte has always been pretty high up there in the rankings as far as like quality of education. So in addition to this school undergoing renovation, the field there has also undergone a multi-million-dollar renovation with artificial turf that can be utilized not only by the school but other organizations in the community and year-round. So it is a really great feature and amenity that is happening currently as of 2025 at the community school for the rest of the community to enjoy. In addition to the Crested Butte Community School, and I will add that the Crested Butte Community School is going to be kindergarten through 12th grade. For the other schools, there's a couple of daycares, which are also pre-K. There's Paradise Place and Stepping Stones. So both of those are located within the downtown Crested Butte area. So this particular area here is going to have those two daycares as well. Another thing, let's see, to point out that is really important is, where do you buy food? If you're not going to Gunnison and going to the grocery store there is a Clark's Market over here, which is also underwent a renovation a couple of years ago. It was closed down during that renovation, which was, huge inconvenience. So it is really nice to have that grocery store. It's smaller in size, but does have some amazing selections there, and a deli, and fresh food, and their produce department is really awesome. They've definitely stepped things up since they put in this major renovation to Clark's Market. There's another organic health food store, so another grocery store, but it's much smaller, and it's an organic health food store, and that one's going to be off of Elk Avenue. It's going to have some more local produce from some farms, not necessarily here in Gunnison or Crested Butte, which there are a little bit of that, but mainly over in the Paonia and Hotchkiss area, which is over the Kevlar Pass area. And then it'll also have some meats and some other that are from some local ranches here in Gunnison County, and then some grab and go stuff as well. So that one is Mountain Earth, and that one's not to be missed as well. So that one has some great selection. All right, so another thing that you'll notice as you come into downtown Crested Butte is our Center for the Arts. The older Center for the Arts building was in a much need of a, expansion, so to speak, not really a renovation. They kind of discontinued use of the old Center for the Arts building, and then built this beautiful Center for the Arts, which has some pretty major artists that come in, and musicians. There's events that are happening all the time at the Center for the Arts, and some community-wide events there. So Alpenglow concerts happen on Monday evenings in the summertime. It's a lot of fun. It's rain or shine. Grab some picnic type food, grab some nice camping chairs, a blanket, and listen to some really great live music in the summertime. Okay, so another thing that I want to point out is that sometimes this confuses people. So as you're coming into town, this is 135. As you're coming into town, so you have 135 here, and then as you are in town, it is called 6th Street. So this is 6th Street in town. And then as you head out to the resort area, and you're leaving town off of 6th Street, that is called Gothic Road. So Gothic Road is going to take you to Mount Crested Butte and the ski area. A lot of people don't realize that, and they'll still call 135 the same road as you're coming through town, which the locals will totally understand. But if you're looking at a map, 135 as you enter town, it is 6th Street as you're in town from downtown Crested Butte, the whole downtown Crested Butte, and then as you exit and you head up to Mount Crested Butte, that is Gothic Road. All right, so another thing, Crested Butte prides themselves in that they are a historic town. Specifically, it is a historic district from 6th Street to the left-hand side. So this is 6th Street right here, and then everything over here is the historic district. Everything on the right side over here is still Crested Butte, but not the historic district. And why that is important is if you are building or you are remodeling a place that you have purchased, there are different rules for the historic district than there are for some of the other side of town, which these are larger lots over here. So just a little side note there about the historic district. All right, so a couple of things to point out here. So you have Elk Avenue, and Elk Avenue is going to be the main hub of, you know, all things Crested Butte as far as like shopping and restaurants. There are a couple of restaurants over by Clark's Market that you there's a deli that's over there, you know, that you could, you know, do some grab and go, but for the most part 90% of the restaurants are here along Elk Avenue. A couple of my favorite places to eat would be the Secret Stash. They have great pizza and great salads. Another of my favorite places to go would be the Breadery, and that's, you know, right here along Elk Avenue. And then another one would be Soup's on Restaurant. That's definitely, you know, a special treat. It's an amazing restaurant in off the alley there of Elk Avenue, and it's, you know, this historic building, and it's only has a few tables in the restaurant, so it's really small and very intimate. French American cuisine, and reservations are required for both the Breadery, not necessarily the Breadery, but definitely for Soup's On. You definitely don't want to like just show up and hope to get a table or go on a waiting list. So you want to check those two places out. Another thing that people often ask me about is, and that we talk about and try and talk about a lot, is that we have an amazing bus system. Not only does the RTA go from Gunnison to Mount Crested Butte, but a lot of people confuse the RTA with the town bus. So in downtown Crested Butte, they have their own bus system, which services downtown Crested Butte as a whole, and then runs up to the ski resort and drops off up there. So it's a complete loop multiple times during the day. You know, I think it's every 15 to 30 minutes depending on the time of year, and there are multiple stops throughout town. So it's a great service, you know, to have and to take advantage of if you are coming to Crested Butte and maybe you decided to not rent a car. You can easily get around without a car, especially if you're staying within the downtown Crested Butte area or Mount Crested Butte for that matter. You can, you know, hop on the bus and it'll, you know, take you around. The RTA does drop off there, but like I said, downtown Crested Butte and Mountain Express is really what it's called. Runs from downtown Crested Butte to Mount Crested Butte, and you can get around very easily. Parking is a thing that people talk about in downtown Crested Butte. There are a couple of free lots to park in downtown Crested Butte. One of them is going to be over here at 6th and Maroon. There's a free lot over here in front of our office here at our address is 315 6th Street. There is a free lot over here as well that you can park. And then there's another one over here on this area of town. As it stands right now, Elk Avenue does have some parking restrictions along Elk Avenue. There's a limited amount of time that you can park there, you know, a limited duration. So it's nice to be able to know that if you do have a car, to have these additional parking lots that you can park and just walk around, or, you know, have your bike or take the bus. So super easy to get around downtown Crested Butte. All right, so some of my favorite things, about Crested Butte, in addition to, you know, the conveniences and the bus stops and the restaurants and the views. I mean, my gosh, the views are you know, everywhere. People will sometimes say, hey, I want a place with a great view, and it's like, there are no bad views in this valley. And, you know, you have amazing views everywhere. And so the thing that, you know, I was just going to say that is one of my favorite things about Crested Butte is that you can, you know, be downtown and you can hike and bike from just about anywhere. One of my favorite hiking trails is going to be off of this Peanut Lake area. You can actually it's the lower loop, but there is another hiking trail from Crested Butte called the Woods Walk Trailhead. So you can access that from downtown Crested Butte. There's also a little small parking area up here as well. It's about right here that you can, about in this area that you can park, and then you're just going to walk across the street, and then you can walk Woods Walk Trail and head on over. You can do a loop over there. Or you can start off the Peanut Lake Trailhead. There's a couple of parking spots off of there. You access that from Butte Avenue, so you'll go Elk Avenue to Butte Avenue, and then you can park over here and walk along Peanut Trail or take Woods Walk to this connector over here to the lower loop area. So this is one of my favorite hiking trails off of town. So from here to Gunnison Pass Bridge is about it's about 2.5 miles. It takes you to the Gunnison Pass Trail there, and you can swim, let your dogs get in the water over there, have a picnic, and then turn around and come back to your car, whether you've parked at off of Peanut Lake Road or the Woods Walk area. So Woods Walk will add a little bit more distance and time to there, but from trailhead to trailhead, or from parking lot to back to the parking lot, you're looking at about 5 to 6 miles round trip. So that is one of my favorite hiking trails from downtown Crested Butte. Do it often, do it frequently, love it. It's busier certain times of the year, but I have never found it to be something that is completely unbearable, especially on like a Sunday afternoon after the farmers market. So speaking of the farmers market, every Sunday in the summertime, this top end of Elk Avenue here, they have a farmer's market. So it'll be from here to about right there. And that is shut down every Sunday. And they, have, local buys. And they also have, some of the farms over in the Paonia-Hotchkiss area that bring over, their produce and greens and fresh flowers. There's some artisans that are also there, and then there's some local ranches that are selling their meats and such, and then some other, artisans, not necessarily in like making art, but there is some of that too. But some people that make some jelly or some cheese or whatever, and they'll be selling their stuff as well. So local bread, that's another thing that's there. So that's really nice to have, and that's on Sundays in the summertime only at this top section of Elk Avenue. All right, one other thing that I want to point out is there are more than a couple of parks in downtown Crested Butte. There's some smaller little pocket parks, like the Three Ladies Park, which is over here off of Butte Avenue. And then there's also Totem Pole Park, which is Maroon and 3rd over here in this area. Those are some smaller parks, but you also have 2 bigger parks. You have the Rainbow Park, which is going to be on this side of town. So instead of hanging a left onto Elk Avenue going to all the restaurants, you're going to hang a right, and then taking that right will lead you right into Rainbow Park. There is another park over here. It's about in this little area right here, and that's called Pirate Park. So it's a smaller park, but it's kind of nice too, that if you're taking in some music and live music over here at the Center for the Arts, Pirate Park over here is nice to kind of give the kids a break, and you can still kind of hop back into the music and listen to the music if you want to, or meet your friends or whatever. So those are 2 really nice parks that we have in town. All right, so you probably hear a lot about land trust and the 3% transfer fee. If you've had any conversations with anyone about purchasing in downtown Crested Butte, the Crested Butte proper area, so this little area here and here and there, that is downtown Crested Butte. This is subject to a 3% transfer tax. So what that means is it's 3% transfer tax on your real estate purchase. And that goes towards the land trust. Part of it goes towards the land trust, and part of it goes towards downtown Crested Butte's affordable housing fund. Land trust was established many, many years ago, and they buy up a lot of lands that could be vulnerable to development, such as this little area here, all the way up to Mount Crested Butte, and then some other areas from Crested Butte South down to downtown Crested Butte. They've done some other stuff that are outside of those parameters, so they're not necessarily limited to the Crested Butte area. So the land trust, so part of that 3% goes towards the land trust. They're fundraising for purchasing these lands here in the valley. And what I like to tell people is 80 to 90% of our lands, not just in downtown Crested Butte, but from this whole corridor here, is either you couldn't develop it, which means that it's put into this easement and it's taken away the developmental rights, or it's minimized the impact of development for those particular lands. And that's important too, because when you're first coming into the valley, you just see all this beautiful ranch land, and you can't help but think that, will that be forever? Well, a majority of it will be forever, or with minimal impact, developmental impact to the to the community. All right, so with that being said, let's talk about what your money can get you here in the Crested Butte area. So again, as a recap, we are discussing everything from Crested Butte South north. So this is rural Crested Butte, and then this is downtown Crested Butte, and again rural Crested Butte right here. So this is all within the Crested Butte zip code. So you have a couple of outlying areas. So before we get into downtown Crested Butte, you hear people talk about the golf course area, Riverbend, Larkspur, Buckhorn. These developments are in this particular area here. So you have Riverbend right here, and that's going to be the closest to downtown Crested Butte. You're talking, less than 3 miles from Riverbend to downtown Crested Butte. And then off the Brush Creek area, you have Skyland, which is in this area. You have Larkspur, which is in this area, and then you have Buckhorn Ranch, which is over here in this area. So average home prices, you're looking at a couple of $1 million to get into a standalone home in these areas, depending on where you are. There are some beautiful spec homes, and some beautiful custom homes in these particular subdivisions. This one in particular is in the Skyland subdivision. Beautiful area. This one sits up on Ridge Road, so you're gonna maximize the views down looking on the golf course area, because the golf course area, Robert Trent Jones Golf Course, is in the Skyland area, which is the Skyland Country Club. So yeah, so beautiful homes up there. This one's listed just over $7 million. Big house, 4,600 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 5 baths. Will not, disappoint at all. Beautiful, beautiful home up there on the Ridge Road area. A couple others. This one in particular is in a not necessarily in the Skyland subdivision. There is a smaller subdivision that you access through the Skyland subdivision, and this one is on the river and listed at $3.4 million. 4 bedrooms, 4 bath, a little over 3,200 square feet. This one is for the people who love to fish, want some privacy, want some buffer behind them. No one obviously is going to build behind you. You have the river there. You can put in your paddleboard in downtown Crested Butte and float the entire river and take out at your house. So this is a really very special spot in the Crested Butte area. And then you also have a couple other ones. This one's in the Silver Sage subdivision, 1.9 Darling House. It is 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2,700 square feet. Great views. The Silver Sage subdivision is one of my favorite subdivisions because it's a smaller, compact, really not compact as far as like where houses sit, but just a smaller footprint of a subdivision. And it just has this nice little loop around, that encompasses the Silver Sage subdivision, and great views as well. Views will not disappoint you whatsoever. And then it's nice too that you have this convenience of having a little bit more space right outside of town, but also amazing views. But again, back to what I said earlier, there are no bad views in the Crested Butte area. There are also some townhome condo opportunities in the Skyland area. So maybe you don't want a bigger home and just want something just a little bit smaller, kind of shut the door, head back home and not have to deal with a lot of exterior maintenance and things like that. So this one is located at 22 Links Lane, just shy of $2 million, 3 bedrooms, 4 bath, 2,500 square feet. Great property, great views. It will give you everything, as far as, the comforts and the amenities that you're looking for, but again, without the maintenance, to contend with. So yeah, and this one is 3.1, and this one's in the Larkspur subdivision. The same developers that did the Skyland subdivision, his son did the Larkspur subdivision years later in 2005, 2006, put in the Larkspur subdivision. So it sits directly across from the Skyland Country Club subdivision, and very, very similar as far as, architectural style, but a smaller subdivision compared to the Skyland subdivision, which out of all of the subdivisions of the Brush Creek Road area, Skyland's going to be the largest, and then Buckhorn, and then Larkspur, and then there's some smaller subdivisions that file in there into that particular area. So this one, 3.1, 5 bedrooms, 5 baths, 3,000 square feet. There's a main pond area there in the Larkspur area. And so this one sits on that pond with views to the north there. Again, will not disappoint. Beautiful home, and nice, convenient to downtown Crested Butte. You can fish here in the off the little pond lake area, and there's a little trail that goes around as well, so you can walk around it. It does have a pedestrian easement for, people within the subdivision to use, but still a smaller subdivision. We're talking about 40 home sites in this particular subdivision, and one was put in, like I said earlier, around 2005, 2006. Okay, so on up Brush Creek Road, you're going to run into another subdivision, and this one is called the Buckhorn Subdivision. Buckhorn is most notably divided by this runway here in the middle of the subdivision. It is the Buckhorn Air Park, and not everyone can fly into to this airport. So it is exclusive to Buckhorn Ranch, owning either a property here and a membership to the air park, or owning along the airstrip here would give you that right to fly into that airport. There are some condos in this subdivision, and there's also some newer townhomes. Most homes are around the $2 to $3 million range, and they're all going to be mainly custom homes. There are a couple of specs like this one that sits on the airstrip for $7.5 million. It does have its own hangar barn that you see here, and so it's a pretty unique situation, to be able to fly your plane in and park it there and be skiing at the ski resort within 10 minutes. So here's a nice view of the airstrip there, and like I said, it's not a very busy airstrip. You'll see some traffic there throughout the day, but it's not an overused airstrip at all. But this is a beautiful custom home on the airstrip there. Another home is this one that's listed at 2.95, 4 bedrooms, 5 baths, a little over 2,800 square feet. Gorgeous finishes, lots of light throughout. It does have that reversed floor plan, so I do want to point this out, that you're going to come in entry level. When you come in, most of the bedrooms are going to be downstairs. You're going to have a mudroom, and then you're going to go upstairs to the living room, kitchen area. And you'll see this, and this is a characteristic of a lot of homes in the mountain areas, to maximize on the views, the heat rising up on that second level, and so it's a common floor plan that you see here in the mountains of Colorado. Another house that is on Lake Ridge Drive, and so I do want to point out that when you come into Buckhorn, you have the airstrip that comes down the center of the subdivision. If you head right on the right side, those lots are smaller, 0.15 of an acre, thereabouts, plus or minus. But if you go left on the other side of the subdivision, those lots are larger. Some are just shy of an acre. Most, if not the majority, are over an acre in size, just like this one. So this one is a custom home. You have living in that reversed floor plan upstairs. You have 4 bedrooms, 4 baths in total. This one has a nice feature really 2 nice features, in that it has a separate apartment that's being used as a short-term rental, and then a garage shop space that is to die for, in addition to the 2-car garage. So you could expand on this house too if you wanted to, or you could keep it as is and build another house on the property. There is room to do that, or you can just keep the whole thing as is and utilize it in its current footprint. So lots of options with this one. It's a pretty unique build for the area. especially if you like to tinker or have lots of toys, which a lot of us find ourselves having here in the mountains. And you know, we're not just skiing, we're snowmobiling, we're dirt biking, we're mountain biking, we're downhilling, you know, all the things. So this will give you lots of room to spread out and to be able to do that. Okay, so all right, so leaving the Brush Creek area, which we visited, the Skyland community, Larkspur, and also Buckhorn Ranch, which is where we just left. We're going to head right, and we're going back into downtown Crested Butte. So downtown Crested Butte, like I said this earlier, this is the historic district over here, you know, on this side of 6th Street. So on this side, most of the time you're going to find the houses are going to be a little bit smaller than they would be on this side of town. And the building restrictions are a little bit stricter over here for the historic side. As a whole, Crested Butte does have a reputation of having stricter building guidelines and rules and regulations from building into usage. So that gets into short-term rental licenses as well. There's only a certain amount of short-term rental licenses that they hand out every year. In addition to, you have to be in the correct zone, and there has to be enough rental licenses for that particular block. So it's an expanded conversation. It's not just a straightforward, easy answer. So that's what if I have people that I'm working with that are interested in that particular area, then, we should hop on the phone and kind of talk through that of like what you're kind of thinking and what your goals are as far as purchasing. So, what you can get in this area, it's let me just say, downtown Crested Butte is very charming. You're going to find some newer homes in addition to homes that have been remodeled like this one. This one was remodeled, I'm going to say 5+ years ago, $4.4 million. It's on Coal Creek, 3-bedroom, 3 baths, 2,000 square feet. It's a pretty iconic location there on the creek. You don't always have homes that are on the creek that come up for sale. So this one is super unique. You basically can leave your house right over here. There's a little gate, walk out of your lawn here, and then this is Maroon Avenue behind here, and then you'll head right here, and then that's Elk Avenue. So you're right there. And then one of those little pocket parks that I talked about earlier, Totem Pole Park, is just over here to the left of this property. So it's a pretty killer location. And the views, again, this is the reversed floor plan with the main living kitchen area upstairs and the bedrooms downstairs. There are some bedrooms that are upstairs, and not all of them, are downstairs, but the main living, kitchen, dining area are upstairs, and that's to maximize the views and the warmth and all the things. So yeah, this one is a stunning house there, off of Elk Avenue on Coal Creek. So then on the other side of the spectrum, we do have some mobile homes, in the areas, and these, I've seen range in price. This one is on the market for $825, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a little over 1,100 square feet. You're gonna still have great views of Crested Butte. This is a really great property. And it's great, entry point into Crested Butte if this is something, that you're, looking to do, and your budget is not over $1 million, then this would definitely check that box. It's move-in ready to go. You could do some upgrades, in the future if you wanted to, but to get your foot in the door for downtown Crested Butte. This one's gonna check a lot of boxes here. And it's so close, to downtown Crested Butte. You're just a couple of blocks away. This one's off of Teocalli, which is going to be close to that lower loop trail that I talked about earlier. One of my favorite hiking and biking trails. Okay, on this other side of town, which, I said that sometimes the houses are larger over here, and usually they are. There's some newer builds that are over here. This one is not brand new, but it's $3.3 million. There is a little park, open space park to the right here. 3 bedrooms, 4 baths, 3,000, little bit shy of 3,000 square feet. So this one is, off of Elk Avenue, but in the opposite direction of the shops and restaurants. And opposite, I don't mean it in a bad way. It's a little bit quieter on that side of town. So you'll walk out your front door, take a left, and head right through the 4-way stop right there and onto the main part of Elk Avenue. So convenience wise, this one is amazing. It's a little bit more of a modern type of interior finishes, whereas the exterior still has that mountain feel to it, which is one of the reasons why I love this house. I think it's a great property, especially for someone who wants to be really close to Elk Avenue, but just a little bit off the kind of the restaurants and the main thoroughfare there. Okay, so here's another example of an older home that has gone through some renovations throughout the years, but a little bit smaller in size. This one is off of Maroon Avenue, 4 bedroom, 4 bath, 2,200 square feet, almost 2,300 square feet. Great house. This one's going to have more of that traditional floor plan setup where you don't have that reverse floor plan where your living and kitchen and dining is up on that second level. You're going to come in and this is going to be your main living area here off the entrance. So you're not having to go up some stairs to get to that living, kitchen, and dining, that reverse floor plan. So sometimes we do have people that ask for that and that really don't want the reverse floor plan and they want more of a traditional floor plan. So this one's definitely going to check that box. Bedrooms upstairs as well. And it's, like I said, it's undergone some remodeling, through the years. Move-in ready, great property as well. Okay, so leaving downtown Crested Butte, this is also what we called rural Crested Butte. There are a couple of subdivisions out this way. There's Moon Ridge, and then there's a couple of other properties that don't really fall into a subdivision per se, but is still in the rural area. And then there's a couple of homes up Slate River Drive that, again, rural Crested Butte, not necessarily Mount Crested Butte. You are kind of in between downtown Crested Butte and rural Crested Butte. So stunning homes, nice convenience to downtown Crested Butte and also for skiing. The difference on these two is there's not going to be a bus service, in these particular areas. A lot of people that I know that live, maybe in these areas, they do have an e-bike and bike into town, or will drive their car and park at some of the free parking lots that I pointed out earlier. All right, one of the homes out here, so this one is 13.9. This one is going to be just up the Washington Gulch area. It's a stunning property with views of Long Lake. So this is Long Lake that is right here you can kind of see there in the shot there. So gorgeous, super private, but still you have the nice conveniences of town. And this is going to be a larger home. It's, 7 bedrooms, 10 baths, almost 9,200 square feet. So lots of room to spread out for you, and has, some of those mountain feel where you'll have, that some log accents and that, wood. There's a lot of people that, don't love the modern feel, and there are some people that love the modern feel, and then there's some people that really want that estate mountain feel to it, and this definitely checks that box with the log accents. So in the stone fireplaces, and just absolutely stunning up there in the trees, and views of Long Lake. So definitely does not disappoint. That's in the Smith Hill Ranches up Washington Gulch. Another one to point out is the Cow Camp Ranch, which is another iconic property along Gothic Road here. There's actually 2 properties. Here you have the main house, and then you have the guest house. It's a stunning property with some acreage. It's gated, lots of room to spread out. You're going to have incredible views of the Slate River Valley down below. The house has been both of them completely remodeled, and just absolute perfection, and it's stunning. There's a view from every window, lots of amenities, at this property, and been really tastefully decorated, and will not disappoint as well. So in total, there's 8 bedrooms, 9 baths, and about 9,000 square feet of living space. Another subdivision that's in between downtown Crested Butte and Mount Crested Butte is Meridian Lake Park and Meridian Lake Meadows. So 15 Nicholson is a property that is in Meridian Lake Park. Beautiful home, just shy of $2.8 million, 4 bedrooms, 4 baths, 3,300 square feet. It's going to give you amazing views of the valley down below. You do have Gothic Mountain here that's behind it. And another thing that I love about this subdivision is that you have a kind of a subdivision access to Snodgrass Mountain for hiking and biking. And it's just, Meridian Lake is it's a nice area. One of my favorite areas actually in Crested Butte, because you have the privacy of being a little bit away from downtown Crested Butte and not in Mount Crested Butte, and you also have the conveniences of a subdivision and be able to walk around the subdivision, and nice HOA, beautiful homes that are built in this area. So this one has lots of room to spread out, and like I said, great views. There's not a bad view anywhere within this subdivision. So that's what 2.8 will get you in the Meridian Lake Park area. Okay, so to recap, we have the downtown Crested Butte area that will give you everything from historic charm to modern homes, and then you have everything else in between, from views up in the Washington Gulch area or Smith Hill Ranches to Skyland, Larkspur, or Buckhorn Ranch. So lots of options out there for you. So in a nutshell, Crested Butte not only offers convenience, but also gives you a range of various types of homes, from historic to modern and everything in between. It also gives you a ton of charm. So I hope you learned a lot and got a lot of value out of this video today. If you have any questions, be sure and drop those in the comments for me. As I mentioned before, I get calls, texts, and emails from people just like you every single day. So if you're looking to make a move here, all of my contact information is down below for you. You can call, text, or email. And whether you're moving here in 6 days from now, 6 months from now, you're moving across the world, across the country, or just across town, I'm here to make your move exactly the way you want it to be. Until next time. Okay, so it looks like you're making a move to Crested Butte or Gunnison, Colorado, and you're trying to decide which video to watch. You could watch this one, or you could watch this one, or you could watch both because they're both really going to help you out and they're both really good. But go ahead, just pick one.